What is going on, everyone? My name is Lucas, and like DJ Khaled says, another one. Today, I'm going to discuss the coronavirus. Yes, the coronavirus. The things I'm going to talk about, though, are how it is impacting the economy, how it's impacting our retirement, our 401ks, and just our everyday lives. Let's get it. Start off by saying how grateful I am for even given this opportunity to be able to present these videos to you guys. I'm just starting out, but the thing I really want to hit on is just the interest I have when it comes to talking about stocks, retirement, 401ks, the economy, everything like that, and just being able to present some of that stuff to you guys. It's a pleasure of mine, and just the outreach I've already had by just putting out 2 videos has been amazing, and so I just want to thank you guys for that. The coronavirus, how it's impacting everyone's lifestyles. Obviously, majority of the people aren't able to go to work. They're not able to do just normal, basic activities. And later on in this video, I'm definitely going to touch on some of the things I've noticed personally as far as how it's affecting our lifestyles. The next thing I'm going to talk about is how it's affecting the economy, and some of the things that have come out recently, specifically today from the Fed, and some of the news that helped the stock market. And I started thinking to myself is how it's impacting people that are just right on the cusp of retirement. Those people that are in the 55 to 58, on the verge of getting close to retirement, how it's really impacting them. They probably all had their ducks in a row, and they're really getting ready to get that retirement check. And then next thing you know, the market starts to take a plunge, obviously because of multiple reasons. The coronavirus was obviously the headliner, but you had oil prices that were causing issues and all these different things. I also noticed that there are different styles of investments. Obviously, that's the case. And how you invest your money is completely different than maybe someone who is close to retirement. I know there's quite a few people that I talk to personally that are close to retirement that were heavy into mutual funds. And they weren't so much into the individual stocks or the ETF. This could have a huge impact on their ending result, especially with being solely invested in the mutual funds. Mutual funds don't draw back as quick. They do take a little bit more time than maybe some growth stocks or even some dividend stocks. It just takes time. These are some things I think about, especially, if that were to happen in my case. If I were pretty close to retirement and we had an economic, drop off, a pandemic that started to affect the entire world, how would I handle losing large amounts of money, especially when that's something that I know I was going to be banking on when retirement came around. So just some news things to update you on and kind of discuss. Today is April 9th, and the Fed had a broadcast that they presented where Fed Chairman Jerome Powell kind of discussed, where we currently are and where we're going to be going with the coronavirus. The chairman was definitely positive when speaking about the future and kind of getting over the coronavirus. He seemed very optimistic that once people go back to their jobs, the economy might start getting a rally behind it. And obviously we'll get a boost because people will start going back to their normal routines. Mr. Powell definitely discussed the $2.3 trillion support loans that they're going to be providing to the economy to give it a boost. Basically stated that it would be a bridge from pre-coronavirus to current state. So it almost give us that gap, that assistance, that help that we're needing. It's one of those days where the stock market is almost like a wave. It builds, it hits its crescendo, and then it crashes, and then it starts to build again. It hits its crescendo and crashes. The next thing of news, unemployment. Man, did we ever see an unemployment rate. 6.6 million people filed for unemployment last week. That is a massive number. It's definitely a staggering number. It's a huge blow to the economy. The amount of people that are going to be searching for jobs is just astronomical. And this is the type of stuff that will extend into quarters and will affect companies down the road. So quarter 3, when we're having companies, give their quarterly earnings and things like that, that's definitely going to have an impact on this because people are just not able to spend money. They're not able to go to work. They're not able to earn a paycheck and then turn around and spend that back into the economy. Yes, they're making an unemployment wage, but it may not be what they were earning previously. The next and final, I promise, final news headline of the day came out. It was midday, and then it really impacted towards the end after the market had closed, and that is oil prices. Last night, Saudi Arabia hit some headlines when they invested into 4 major European oil companies. All this happened as a buildup, and I do believe that had a big impact on the futures, which led into today's market open. But later on in the day, we found out that the Saudis are actually going to cut production by 10 million barrels, and that's supposed to be starting on May 1st. Oil kind of started to dip off at the end of the day due to the fact that we weren't really hearing any type of positive news. But that came in after hours and after market. You could really see some of those oil companies kind of rebound back to where they originally started. As I sit here and take a mental break from all that news, did I happen to mention that the coronavirus is impacting the economy? One of the things I said I definitely would discuss in this video is how has it impacted our everyday lives. And that's where I'm going to kind of come to you from a personal level. I'm definitely noticing some different aspects, and I don't know if it's like that across the United States. Obviously, the impact of the coronavirus in New York is just outrageous. People aren't able to do certain things. I currently live in the Midwest, and I feel like where I live, it's handled and taken completely different than maybe a New York or a California. I do have to say, from a society standpoint, I am starting to notice things that I noticed when I was growing up. You're starting to see more people doing kind of old school mindset things. I was out mowing my grass a couple days ago, and I'm starting to see more people doing activities in their backyard, whether it's yard maintenance or they're playing games like horseshoes. I mean, that's old school. Doing things like that. I'm starting to see a lot more people out and about when it comes to taking walks. And I know we're in stay-at-home orders, but it's just nice to see kind of people setting down technology and maybe just getting back to our old school ways. I do think family bonding is a thing again. I think people are starting to actually sit down at a dinner table and discuss how their days were and just carrying on normal conversations that doesn't involve a cell phone or sending a text message or, hey, Snapchat. They're actually talking to each other, and I think we're getting back to that. The reason I'm doing these videos, obviously, is to talk stocks and investment, so let's get into that aspect. With all these stay-at-home orders and things that are going into effect, this is a great time to discuss some opportunities that are revolving around those types of things. And one company specifically hit some headlines today, hitting a major milestone with 50+ million subscribers, and that's going to be Disney. Obviously, everyone is impacted by this virus, but I would have to say Disney, from a stock standpoint and from a company standpoint, has just been hit extremely hard. You have to think, Their theme parks, which they rely on heavily, shut down. And they're across the world, shut down. The next thing they depend on, cruise lines, canceled. People getting their money back for that. It's not happening. And then on top of that, they own sports. They own ESPN. There's nothing on TV right now. The only thing ESPN is airing games from back in the 80s right now, besides naming a new CEO. The only positive they have going for them is Disney Plus, which some would say is an only plus. So with them being able to say that they've had 50 million plus subscribers, that's massive. This is big news, especially with a company that's been as heavily impacted as Disney has, especially since their media network brought in $24.8 billion last year in revenue. So with as much of an impact as they have received due to the virus, this is in hopes that they're relatively close to that mark. Another company that I'm going to discuss is actually one of my favorites. And it's a tech company, and most people definitely know about it, and it's Microsoft. I think Microsoft really took advantage of their opportunities when it comes to the coronavirus, especially with their Microsoft Teams. That definitely was a massive uplift when it comes to the communication front, and still being able to utilize communication amongst your jobs, even when you're working from home due to the work from home orders, is just massive. Obviously, we know Microsoft is heavily involved in the gaming area with their Xbox. They were able to partner with other gaming companies such as Amazon, who runs the Twitch streaming service, Riot Gaming, and they also got into YouTube gaming. One of the things they started was a campaign titled Play a Part Together. And as you can see in this article, that it's just a great thing for people who are at home. Two companies that really come to my mind right away when I think of this entire thing was Twitter and Facebook. Just the ability to be able to capitalize on news and just current events such as the coronavirus, oil prices, no sports, all these businesses and their impacts, their quarterly revenue updates, all that stuff is still being able to be provided through social media services. You know, you go through your Twitter timeline and you're able to see everything that's current. If you go to your Facebook page, you're able to see everyone that is at home, what they're doing. And then you go over to Facebook's Instagram and you're able to see the pictures people are taking, how they're handling from working from home. So I think of these social media sites and these social media companies are really capitalizing on these events. I do eventually think we're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I do think that that's coming relatively soon. That's just my personal opinion. Well, hopefully you learned something, and if you did, leave a thumbs up. It helps out tremendously. And if this content interests you, I'll keep the content flowing. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, have a great day.